What's up, guys? Respect out to the FPV community. Last night, I went to a Trailblazers game and we played the Atlanta Hawks. It was an awesome game. One of the first games I've actually been to for the Trailblazers where they actually won. So, big ups and respect to the Trailblazers for winning last night. Very stoked about that. They just barely won. They kind of fell asleep for a moment there in about the middle of the game, and then coach had to wake them all up and say, hey man, you're playing basketball, so get back in there and start turning the vibes up, get the fire going, put the fire under your ass and start making some baskets and do some defense as well. So I love basketball, huge basketball fan outside of like FPV. Just grew up with Michael Jordan and the Tar Heels and all that cool stuff, being from North Carolina. So big basketball fan. But anyway, guys, after my Trailblazer stoke for them winning, we have the Meteor 75 here today. This little quad is the upgraded version from the original Meteor 75. So this one binds up to that ELRS native built-in ELRS Lite 3 radio. So this one is around $50 to $60 and it will bind up with multiple quads. And it's stupid easy to bind up. So I'm gonna show you today in this video how to bind it up after the flight test, but we're gonna do some ripping around indoors and we're gonna go outside and we're gonna do some outdoor flying. So this one, what's different about it? Well, it's a little more expensive than the original one, but it has a built-in SPI ELRS receiver and a 350 milliwatt VTX. So it's just gonna go behind like the shed and stuff a lot better without fail-safing back behind the shed. It's gonna give me clear video all the way through so I can shoot that gap. And you guys will see how it performs indoors and outdoors. So yeah, which one do I prefer? This one or the 6.5? I prefer the 7.5. So I prefer this one over the smaller one. This one has a little larger motors, and I've talked about this before. It has 1102 motors. That's kind of the micro brushless sweet spot. But this one, it's kind of a hybrid between like the feeling of a micro brushless and a tiny whoop. So it kind of gives you the best of both worlds with a little more stability, I think. If you have a smaller place, get the 6.5. You want to go super, super fast, the 7.5, I believe is faster than the 6.5. So if you're looking for something that really, 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 really rips, 7.5 is it. So mild freestyle, not really. It did have some tumble in the flight controller, and I did a durability test too. We smashed into the basketball goal outside, so I did compromise the frame, and I'll show you where it broke for that full speed ahead crash right into the basketball hoop. So it's not a good crash, straight ahead, and yeah, we have a broken frame, but it's still flying, so no biggie. 120 bucks, ELRS, and a Lite Radio 3 is the way to go. So without further ado, let's go ahead and do some indoor flying, and we'll talk about this quad, characteristics and all the good stuff in the Sonos review. We'll also take you outside for some outdoor flying. So enjoy, guys. Here we go. All right, let's do the indoor flight test. First, guys, we're gonna go ahead and arm, and I took a bunch of runs and I just kind of made like a quick little course around the house here. We're just gonna fly out through the playroom here, back through the kitchen, underneath the ironing board, and by Batman right there. The Batman hideout, super popular with my son and my girlfriend's son. Super, super cool. And you know what? This is about my 10th pack, and I was finally starting to feel like the lines with this quad. Every single quad is different. So, when you get a brand new quad, it's crazy. You think that a lot of these power systems are kind of similar and cameras seem to be similar, but every single multi-rotor is different. It's crazy. Like, I've flown thousands of these things and they're all different, every single one of them. No two really fly the same, so you kind of have to get used to it. Once I got used to it, I was really feeling the snaps around that Connect 4 board and just kind of zooming through the playroom a little bit, bouncing off things. It doesn't tumble to the floor, which I love that this quad does not have that characteristic. Some of the tiny whoops out there, if you touch something, you're done. The flight controller freaks out, the accelerometer kind of resets, and you have to basically replug the quad in. So this one doesn't do that, which is really nice. And again, I'm not like the best racer. I'm more of a freestyle pilot, and I typically fly outdoors, so flying indoors is a little bit difficult for me, as you can tell. But yeah, it handles way better than the 6.5 for me, even though the 6.5 is smaller.
I could probably get away with a faster and cleaner flight with the 6.5, and with the 1102 motors on this one, I just have way more speed, and that's kind of what I like. I like to fly like my pants are on fire outdoors too, but it gives me that sort of outdoor feel, if you will, with this quad. And if I would slow down a little bit, I could probably make a proper lap around the house. But it is really, really fun on the sticks to fly. So no problems inside with the durability of the frame, and I love it. I just couldn't stop flying packs through it. So now let's go outdoors for this outdoor flight test. And you know what? This little guy covers some ground. And I was going to take the crosshair off there originally, and normally you can see that right in the center of the frame. I usually don't fly with the crosshair, but for tiny whoops, it's kind of nice to be able to kind of look ahead and see where the quad is heading with that crosshair. This particular OSD seems to have it lined up properly. I've had crosshair on other quads, and it's just off-center to where the camera direction's going in the quad, and you can recenter it to, if you have your laptop outside, but it's kind of a pain. And this one was already set up and ready to go. So no problem behind the shed right there. That VTX does fine, even on 25 milliwatt, which is pretty impressive. And I'm able to make some nice, clean, and straight lines low to the ground. It tracks really well. The tune is okay for freestyle. I did have some tumble, and I did actually break this frame as well. I crashed into the basketball goalpost on the bottom of that electronic basketball goal right there. So in the very front, two front braces broke. So if you hit something really hard, like solid steel pipe or straight into concrete, full-on crash, you're probably going to break this frame, but they're not expensive. It's easy to maintain tiny whoop style quads and on a budget. If you're really on a budget and you're strapped for cash, you can fly tiny whoops all day. They are the cheapest FPV quads out there, and what's cool about them is that parts are cheap, and still the fun factor on these I feel like is like just as high as like some of the 5-inch and 6-inch quads. And again, it just depends on the day. And there I found a ghost branch, witch's finger brought me down, and I'm back on the course. But I'm loving this quad. I love the way it tracks. The tune seems to be really nice, and I'm able to get away with a lot for flying something that's 75 millimeters and at high speeds, low to the ground. It's awesome. So let's go inside and let's talk about this quad on the bench. Here we go.
All right, my Drone Camps Army, welcome back to another honest review. This is the Meteor 75 ELRS version, and yeah, I have to say that this one is fun. I know there's a ton of cool little whoops out there all over the place, and I talked about how the 6.5 and the Light Radio 3 is kind of like the perfect pair. Yeah, so either one that you want to get, it just really depends on you and what you want. I'm not going to sway you either way. I will tell you, my favorite out of the two, I've flown both of them this week, and it's just been raining nonstop. But I like the Meteor 75 better because typically I do like the 75 millimeter frames better. This is a 40 millimeter prop on here. It's a biblade prop, and what I think that does is it gives us a little less punch at just the movement of the throttle stick. When you're running a tri-blade prop, it gives you a little more juice and a little more lift. It also pulls more power out of the battery because you're making the battery sag a little bit more. But if you're running biblade props, what happens is you have a little more control when you're flying at fast speeds, and you just kind of just bump the throttle a little bit. You get less altitude out of that throttle bump. You follow me? So what happens is you make some cleaner lines at high speeds with less, kind of bump out. So that happens a lot with tiny whoop. When you're flying tiny whoop, you come around a corner too fast, you corner too wide, you hit the throttle to kind of like get back on the track, and you just kind of blow out and get too much altitude. Maybe you're 4 feet off the ground, and you really want to be a foot off the ground, when you're racing around this course, depending on the course, of course. But yeah, and so it just has a better feel to it for high speed racing. So go with the biblade prop. This 40 millimeter prop's where it's at. And this quad's also pretty lightweight. It is lighter than some of the quads that I custom built back in the day. This one's 24.36 grams, without the battery. We're also rocking an F4 flight controller on here with 5 amp ESCs. We got that C02 camera on here. It's 5.8 analog camera, and it has the 350 milliwatt VTX. It is changeable from 25 all the way up to 350 with this dipole in the back. We have a little slot back here for LEDs if you want, and this one has, like I talked about before, the power system on here is the 1102 18,500 kV motors. Those are bigger than the original Meteor 75 motors, so this gives you a little more horsepower, and a little bit faster flying quad. And it is still sitting on a 75 millimeter frame. We've got 4 struts on the bottom here, well, 8 struts total, 2 on each. We have 3 bolts on the bottom of the motor. We have plug and play PCB connectors here for these motors, so if you have a motor go out, you can take it off easily. Now, I'm just gonna rebind this as well, and what you wanna do is just grab a toothpick. You wanna turn on your radio, turn on your Light 3 radio. There's a bind button at the very bottom right here on the far left. You have your USB-C charger. You also should be able to use this with a simulator. We talked about simulators on the last podcast, by the way. If you want to get in on our podcast, you should definitely do that. Friday nights at 7 Pacific Standard Time. And we're going to go ahead and plug this guy in. And ELRS is so easy to bind, guys. This is definitely like the gateway drug into ELRS. Very simple. So right now you can see that there is a solid green light. And what you want to do is go ahead and quickly take your toothpick, press bind on the radio. You'll see it flash in red. And just very quickly press this here, little gold button. You'll see it flashing, and when it is solid green, it should be bound. Now, it might be still looking for the radio, so if it didn't go solid, go ahead and do it again. And you can see now it's green. And that's all there is to it, you guys. That's it. We're bound up with ELRS. There was no firmware updates, no messing around trying to get a module working inside your radio with Lewis grips and all the other just stuff that no one wants to do. Beta FPV made it easy. So there it is. I mean, this radio is like, I think it's a little over like $55 or something like that. Really, really awesome. So I am super stoked. And I got this cool little lanyard to go along with it. It says Express LRS on there, Beta FPV light radio. I'm loving this. And it's adjustable for really big dudes or smaller dudes like me. And it's a comfortable, thick strap. And the radio, it is one of those game style controllers, but it really does feel good. We have 2 position switches here. We have 3 position switches here. It should run a beeper, and it has 3 modes here on this side. So modes, and this is the arm switch. And mostly it came set up with everything was, I didn't have to do any beta flight on this quad. All the OSD was there, all the information that you saw during that flight test, that was all there and ready to go in my Sky Zone goggles. It also comes with this little charger right here, and it works also as a battery checker. So I will show you how that works. It's pretty cool. It has a test spot on the very far left-hand side. It says test right here. So you've got one tester. It doesn't work on both sides. So 3.87 volts on this battery. I don't know if you can see that or not. Hopefully you can. If I can get that to focus. Come on, DJI camera. We're in the awesome mode today. So yeah, that's a nice little battery checker option. What I like to do is I run my eSheen 6-in-1 charger, and this one handles LiPo and HV. So I can switch it back and forth. I can also change the switch from low charge or high speed charge, fast charge. You can also get these little adapters to the BT 2.0, where you can charge the original Tiny Whoop batteries and the PH 2.0 connector on there. So I can literally get 3 types of batteries going on that charger, whereas this one's kind of stuck to just one thing, BT 2.0. So yeah, that's an awesome little package. And you know what? If you're stuck inside like I am and everybody else is right now, this is really, really nice to have. And this one, I feel like we should get a permanent course set up at my house so that we can just like do some Friday night Whoop sessions during the winter with you guys. And also be sure to start submitting some of your videos to me starting today. It's Tuesday, January 4th. So yeah, I'd love to see some of your videos because we want to share some of your either freestyle videos or cinema videos. whatever. If you have a cool video, send it to me on Facebook, DM me your video, and we'll try to share that on this week's podcast coming up. It's called Everything FPV, because that's what we do. Everything FPV. We're all about planes, quadcopters, 4K drones, and also the analog drones and the HD drones. So we're into it all. Come hang out. It's real nice. It's laid back and it's like dude chat. So we are stoked to have you in the live chat, and I appreciate tips or any Patreon stuff as well. If you like the channel, you want to help benefit drone camps and keep us going, that really means a lot. You can check out my links down below, and I really hope you enjoyed this review. I did. This is one of the reviews that I really enjoyed, and I wanted to just keep flying this. So get as many of these 1S BAT 450 batteries as you can, because you're just going to keep them going in rotation, and it'll keep you busy for an evening or the morning, and you won't have to go outside in the snow. But thanks again for watching, guys. I'm Justin Davis. Please do subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.